Hey, welcome everybody. It is my Wednesday edition of my journey through fear, anxiety, and panic attacks. So I've been at this now for 11 weeks. This is my 11th week of doing this. So after Friday, because I'm on here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And some of you have been with me almost the whole time. Hey, Connie. Hey, Judy. And I thank you for that. Hey, Caitlin, how are you? For those of you who have shared and liked these videos, shared them with people that you know that need this, that need to hear these things about fear, anxiety, and panic attacks, depression too. I thank you for that, because it's, I don't go through a week where I don't have somebody that comes up to me and talks to me about it. Somebody that comes up to me and says, you know what, like, I'm sorry, I didn't, I don't like it, and I haven't liked it or anything, but I listen every time. I've listened to many. I'm a rep in the gift industry, and I was with a customer yesterday, and she's like, Heidi, I just happened to find you on Facebook too, and I watched your video last night, and I watched another one. So it's awesome. Hey, Miss, how are you, sweetie? And Vicky, Elliot, and Cindy. Anyway, that's a blessing to me. It's an absolute blessing to me, because so many people need this. So many people need to hear this message and need to be encouraged and need to know that they're not alone and need to know that there's hope and need to know that you're not doomed to a life of fear and panic attacks and all of the things that go with that. So I'm outside tonight. I think you can probably tell that. Hey, Kim. So hope it's not so loud. I've got those loud insects in the trees tonight, but it's so beautiful that I wanted to come outside and do this. So I have one more thing to say before I get into the topic tonight, and that is, I've been telling you guys who've been on here that I'm going to take these videos and compile them and put them all on a YouTube channel. And my son is helping me do that. So we're almost done. This afternoon, he was like, I've got 16 of them up there, Mom. And so the rest of them will be done. I just need to put some descriptions to them. And then I'll let you guys know what to look for in the YouTube, like for the YouTube channel. And then they're all right there. So you don't have to, go to my Facebook page. For people, that you might tell about this that don't have Facebook or don't go on Facebook, then you can let them know too. Like, here's the channel. All the videos are going to be on there. You can watch them anytime you want. They all have topics so that you can see what the topics are. So I'm excited about that. I've had a few people that have said, gosh, it'd be great if you had a YouTube channel, so you could just pop on there and watch them. So anyways, that's coming. I think by Friday I'll be able to say, hey, it's up and running. So anyway, so tonight I'm going to talk about chemical imbalances, and some of the topics that I talk about, some of the things that I say about this, not everybody might agree with. Some people might want to argue with it or just say, no, that's not right, and that's okay. That's your prerogative. This is just things that I have learned. Hey, Jody, how are you? These are the things. These are some of the tips, some of the strategies, some of the things that I implemented that allowed me, after 25 years of living with fear, anxiety, and panic attacks, that allowed me to break free almost for 20 years. Well, no, I'm sorry, a little bit over 20 years now. So I'm just making it real. I'm just telling you what helped me, and actually I'm not the only one. I'm going to have my niece come on here. She was watching, I don't know if she still is, Melissa, And she has an amazing story to tell with regard to anxiety and depression too, as I kind of coached her through that using this, same things. So I'll bring her on here one of these times. So, hey Ray. So tonight might be a topic where you might say, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there, it's food for thought, right? It gives you everything that I have talked about so far. If nothing else, it gives you something to think about, and maybe something that you haven't thought about before, and something to ponder on, and something to consider, to say, wow, maybe that's right. This doesn't come from me, you guys. I'm not that smart. This is wisdom from God, and who better to tell us or to give us the wisdom on how to combat things, how to overcome things, than the one who created us, right? So yeah, this isn't from me, so it's not like I'm tooting my own horn like, wow, I came up with this. Nope, that's not the truth. But anyway, let's talk about chemical imbalances, okay? And I'm gonna tell kind of a brief story on this too, to sort of let you know how I have come to arrive at the conclusion that I have regarding chemical imbalances. Okay. Hey Julie, how are you? So I'm going to read you something. This is a quote by Carolyn Leaf, and she is an amazing woman. She is just an ardent follower of Christ, but she has been in the neuroscience industry for, gosh, I think 30 years, combining, godly wisdom, studying the brain, studying all these things. And so I've gleaned a lot from her, okay? So this is something I posted on a Facebook page. Hey, Alicia, how are you? On a different page that I have a few days ago, and it says, if the brain gets constantly, let me start again. If the brain gets worse by constantly focusing on the problem or whatever it might, on the fear, on the what if, on, anything that would be negative, right? Then the brain can get better by constantly focusing on the solution. Okay? So, here's the deal. So I broke free from fear, anxiety, panic attacks, depression for over 25 years. Mine started with fear, and then panic attacks, and then that constant level, of anxiety, general anxiety, all the, bad. You can go back and listen to other videos. It was bad. It was bad. Some days I thought I was going crazy. Some days I thought this is going to be the day that's just going to do me in, right? Some days it's like, am I even going to make it through this day? I don't know, okay? So it was bad. Not every day was that bad, but most of my days were like that, right? So during this time, hey Alice, I go to doctors, I go to psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, even a 3-week stint at a Christian psychiatric hospital, okay? And what is the first thing that any of them want to do? They want to give me medication, They want to listen to what I have, okay? Finally, when I was young, they didn't know. I was 11 when this started. I'm 58 years old right now, okay? So I was 11 when this started. So, finally when I got into my 20s, I think they were starting to kind of talk about this. So when I would go to the doctor, I'd go to the psychiatrist, they'd listen to what the deal is. Okay, you're having anxiety attacks, panic attacks, whatever. Boom, here's your prescription, okay? And I'm a stubborn German, literally, I was born there. I'm a stubborn person. And I also have sensitivities to a lot of different medications. So I was like, I'm not going to take medication, man. I'm not going to do this somehow, some way. I just believe I can get well without it, right? So I did take it one time at the Christian psychiatric hospital, because they kind of made us. And oh my goodness, I woke up with 160 beats per minute heart rate, like racing like crazy. I'm symptomatic. So it's like, okay, we'll put you on a different kind. Well, I'll be honest with you, every night they gave it to me, I stuck it under my tongue and poof, it was out of there. So I overcome this, right? With no medication. So during this whole time of this 25-year journey with this, took medication one time and that's it. Now I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm so great. No, I was afraid of the side effects, especially after I had them, right? And hey Denise, how are you? And I wasn't, I was like, no, I'm just not going to do this. There's side effects. I'm going to overcome. And when I do, I'm going to know that I truly did. Okay. So, which I did, right? So if it was truly like, hey, you've got a chemical imbalance, Heidi, and believe me, I was told that. Believe me, I was told that. Right? From several doctors. I went to several, always looking like, okay, maybe this one, maybe that psychiatrist, maybe if we go down to Detroit, maybe if I, and a lot of times it's a chemical, they say it's a chemical imbalance, and that's how it's going to be. And you're going to need to be on medication forever to keep your chemicals balanced. Well, if that was the case, if it was truly, this is how it started, my chemicals were imbalanced, and I began to have panic attacks. Something short-circuited, right? And now that it's short-circuited, it's always going to be short-circuited. The chemicals are always going to be imbalanced, and medication is the only thing that's going to keep it in check. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I know some of you are going to disagree, but I'm asking just to hear me out on this, okay? First of all, if that was the case, I wouldn't have broke free. If the chemicals would have been imbalanced, like this is how it's going to be, then how would I be free? How would I be free with no medication? Okay? How would that happen? So that's kind of the first thing, right? So I want to tell you a little bit of story. I'm going to veer here for just a second. I'm going to tell you a story. This is about my husband, because this is going to kind of give you a clue on this too. So my husband is much better now, but he's deathly afraid of heights and afraid of bridges, particularly bridges. Couldn't go over the Mackinac Bridge, couldn't go over the Zilwaukee Bridge. Sitting in the back seat, just cowering, as he's going over this and stuff. So this is how I described a panic attack to him. So let me sort of show you what I mean by the chemical imbalance. Okay. So, let's take one of the trips that we made up to the UP, and my husband is sitting shotgun. We switch, 15 miles before the bridge. He's sitting shotgun, but he's still fearful. He's still very, very fearful. And before we get to that bridge, he's already getting fearful. I can tell. I'm looking over at him. And even though he's not driving, he's already getting kind of fearful. And I would kind of joke with him sometimes a little bit just to, I'm like, how you doing? And he's like, heart's starting to race. I'm starting to feel a little bit of panic, starting to feel that anxiety because I know I'm going over the bridge. Now I can see it. So we begin to drive over the bridge. He's leaning like this, seriously, leaning over like toward me. Hey, Crystal. So that it just helps him, right? His heart's racing. Okay. He's hanging on, he's hanging on to the armrest, and I'm driving. It's like, don't get too far over to the middle. Go over to the side a little bit more. No, don't drive over there. Don't drive so fast. He's panicking. His heart's racing, right? Because he's going over a bridge. What's happening? The chemicals are doing some dancing. The chemicals in his brain are doing some dancing because the fear came in, right? So what happens as we go down. What happens? All of a sudden we're halfway. Now we're 3/4 of the way. And pretty soon, whew, his heart rate's kind of going down a little bit, right? His demeanor is changing. You know, the palms aren't as sweaty anymore. He's relaxing a little. He's not leaning over to me anymore, right? He's not quite recovered, but, you know, as we make the descent and we get off of the bridge, now his breathing is easier. We're about 5 miles away from the bridge, and he's like, whew, okay, I'm doing okay again. What happened? He began to talk himself, right? When he got on that bridge, when he got on, he's talking to himself about it. He's thinking already, the fear's going to come. We're going on that bridge. What if we fall off? What if I fall off? What if this car slide? What if the wind comes and sweeps us away, right? So what's happening? The chemicals are imbalancing in his brain. Really, this is true. So what happens as he descends? Because he begins to say, whew, we're almost off, almost done, almost down from that bridge. Pretty soon I'm going to be off that bridge. Pretty soon I'm going to be okay. The chemicals begin to, be cohesive again and begin to be okay again. And then, 5-10 miles away, he's doing okay again. He's doing okay. All right. That's what happens with, yes, the chemicals do imbalance. Yes, absolutely. But it's not like you were born with this chemical imbalance. It's not like all of a sudden your chemicals were imbalanced and they're going to stay that way. And this is what you've got. And I'm sorry, it's what you've got. And you've got to take medication forever. No, it's that initial sort of fear. Anytime we have like an intense fear of something, even if it's not a panic attack or not, the chemicals begin to imbalance in your brain. And I can, oh my goodness, I can go into this, much more deep, which I'm not going to, tonight. But when you have that first panic attack, right? When that fear sets in, when that, and my husband had origins, right? He was fearful of bridges, okay? But he doesn't know why. He's like, I have no idea how that happened. I have no idea why I began to be fearful. But it wasn't because his chemicals were imbalanced. It wasn't because, man, you got a chemical imbalance and you're afraid of bridges and it's going to be like that all the time. And every time you go on a bridge, you're going to, no, he can drive over the Mackinac Bridge now. He can drive over it now. He can do that, Same thing, with that first fear, panic attack. We often don't know the origin. Sometimes we can say, oh, this happened or that happened, and maybe that's the cause, okay? But we can't usually trace it, right? It happens. And it's how we begin to think of that. I've said that before. How are we thinking about it? What are we thinking? Oh my gosh, what was that? What's happening to me? I think I'm going to die. I don't know what's happening. My heart's pounding. Maybe I'm having a heart attack. I don't know. I got to go. I got to flee. I got to get out of this place. I got to get home. So what happens during that time? Yes, the chemicals do imbalance. Yes, there begins to be an imbalance there because of what you're thinking, because of what you're saying about it, because of what, the fear that's coming in. Now, once you come down a little bit, just like how my husband comes down off that bridge, it begins to feel a little bit better again, right? They begin to balance themselves again. But when you have this fear and this anxiety and panic attacks, I had it for 25 years. My fear level was up a lot more than it was down. So the more we fear, the more we think wrong, the more we speak these things, it keeps the chemicals at that imbalanced level. Totally. But just like I read to you tonight, hang on a second. If the brain gets worse by constantly focusing on the problem, the challenge, the fear, the what if, the when is it going to happen again, the what's wrong with me, I don't know, maybe I'm going crazy. The more we focus on that, the more the chemicals imbalance. But then we know that the brain can get better by focusing on the solution, by switching the way we think, by switching the way we talk about it. I am such a firm believer of that. I am such a firm believer of that. That it's not like, it's just not. I so believe that. It's not, hey, you've got a chemical imbalance. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. The only thing that's going to work is this medication. Well, I'll tell you too, I've met so many people who are on medication. They've been on medication and they still have panic attacks. They're still anxious. They're still depressed. So the medication is never getting to the root. The medication, can it bring those chemicals into balance at times? Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. That's what it's supposed to be doing. The medication, yeah, that's why whoever made these medications, yes, to go to that brain and to bring those chemicals in balance. But what happens at 3 o'clock when you need medicine again? Oh, I'm feeling anxious again. I know it's time for my meds, right? Because it doesn't get to the root. And I'm not necessarily talking about the root of why it happened. We don't often know why. And we don't have to figure out why. What I mean is the root of getting to the root of healing, getting to the root of overcoming, getting to the point where you can be free from this without medications that have side effects. My niece, who was on here before, who I am going to have on here at some point in time, she was on anxiety medication, which she's not anymore. She was on antidepressants, and when I began to read the side effects of her medication for the antidepressants, it was anxiety. For the depression medication, it was anxiety. I'm sorry, I might have said that wrong, but it's like, wow. Yes, it's, going to do some good sometimes. And I know it does, temporarily, but it never gets to the root cause of that, right? And you can bring your chemicals back into that perfect balance. I've done it. And so have many, many other people. All right. I hope I hope I explained that okay. And please, make me write a comment on there if you've got a question about it, or send me a private message if you don't want to, put it on here. But, to me, that's just another thing that you're going to hear that's going to keep you stuck if you believe it. That's going to say, this is how I have to be because I've been told I have a chemical imbalance and that's just the way it has to be. I'm sorry. I simply don't believe that is true. I don't think that the God who created us said, you know what? These people are going to have these imbalances and there's no way they're going to be able to get rid of it except to be on medication all their lives. And that isn't even going to help some of the people. No, we're called to be overcomers. We're called to be healers. Our whole bodies are designed to heal. And that is also true of our brain. As much as those chemicals can be imbalanced, yes, by the fear, yes, by the fearful thoughts, yes, by all of those things, by the things, it can, those chemicals can also be brought, into perfect balance once again. I'm proof. And so are many other people. And that's my story, and that's what I'm sticking to. It really, really is. Does it take some work? It does, and I'm going to go into that next week. Next week, I'm gonna share with you what I did. Next week, I'm going to share that whole thing with you. And yeah, it's like it didn't happen overnight. Didn't happen overnight with me. No, not by any stretch. But it's no less a miracle that I am free from fear, anxiety, panic attacks, depression. It's no less a miracle than if it would have happened instantly. All right? Things that have lasting results that last take some time. sometimes, right? It takes some time. Instant doesn't always do it. And how I looked at it for me, God wanted me to learn some things. God wanted me to learn some things on my journey out of fear, anxiety, and panic attacks and depression. God wanted me to learn some things on my journey out so that I could have that lasting freedom that He wanted me to have and that He wants you to have as well. So anyway, that's my deal tonight. So again, you guys, I know it's a controversial kind of subject. I know I could have, tweaked some of you in some way, and I don't mean to. I'm just sharing my heart. I'm just sharing what I believe. So again, comment, leave any comments, private message me. I'm happy to answer in the best way that I can. I'm here and I'm passionate to see hundreds, thousands of people set free from this, because it is a horrible, horrible way to live. So anyways, like this video, share it, please. I know that's what really, gets it out there to more people to see. And I thank you for those of you who have. And I will be back on Friday with more of my journey and more hope and more